Welcome back to Exploring Distant Worlds. There's been some interest from viewers in dealing with more combat and pushing out into the pirates, and it really has reached the point where it's time for that now. The phase of building up peacefully is coming to an end. We have progressed further a year since the last episode. We've gotten our larger hull size upgrade, and that was the only thing I was waiting on to really properly build up the military, so that's now going to happen. In that year, we've gotten up to over 5 billion now in terms of our population on Reese. We've built a couple more mining stations here in Uguth Tier. We've got one on Uguth Tier 3 to get argon, which is our only source of that so far. And then at Uguth Tier 4, we have more Tidarios, but the reason I did this one is to get the Vodkal, aka the vodka in Distant Worlds, strong drink, and that's our second luxury resource now that we are successfully mining, and hopefully more to come. I didn't do any further building out of mining stations because, as we saw in the last episode, one of our goals is to limit our losses as much as possible of stations and ships. And so there are some areas that are pirate infested. For example, no bases over here. I want to get some luxury resources out of Ulabrea. These two right here, Eucantium Pearl and Questurian Skin. But the dark minerals are active in the area and they would probably attack anything we'd put up. So given that they want us to be cautious with the Akuros, that's exactly what we're going to do. We have gone out further, continued to explore. You can see our ring of plants that we know about is larger. We can see Ramazin over here, another location of a pirate base, the Venomous Confederacy there in the Outlaws Cave. We have run into also a few more pirate factions that we are not paying off. We are not having protections agreements with them. And that's because we've only seen their exploration ships. They're not close enough to us to really be a threat yet. We do need to start being very careful with that. And we don't want to pay off everybody, but at the same time, if they become a big threat and we wait too long, they'll have to pay them extra. So it's kind of a tough balance there. But those three are the Savage Council, the Sinister Salvage, and the Sinister League that we have run into just on the very periphery there. Now, in terms of research, we have gotten our tractor beam in, and now we're on to point defense weapons here. Finished the construction research, as I mentioned, so we're going to come back here and get some more engines. And then we're going to be working on the reactors after that. Just trying to get enough in those to boost those components somewhat and cover the items that we sort of left behind before to really push towards warp drive and construction. And then colonization is going to be ready in a couple of years. We're not really there yet. Now, it's also worth looking at our characters because we have a new one. Usu Athanchi, a fleet admiral. And admirals convey all of their bonuses to every ship in the fleet. We can see we've got repair bonus, weapons damage, and targeting skills of some variety for this one. But that also means we want to take care to not allow any harm to come to them. Obviously, much more important than a ship captain like Leban Saxul, who is still beneficial, but only to their ship. So regardless of the size of the fleet, our admiral will provide bonuses to all of it. With that in mind, I've put together 3 more military designs utilizing our new maximum size of 300. They all have roughly 3,500 costs and 1,000 maintenance. And the command ship here, your task is simply to do one thing only. Protect the fleet admiral. Don't really care about anything else. We are going to defend as much as possible then on this. The shield strength here you can see at 600. To put that in perspective, that's about as much as a mining station has at this point. So these are definitely not going to be easy to take down. I am across all of my military ships now. I want to basically standardize what I'm using for my propulsion. So I've got about a quarter of the space taken up by the primary thrusters, and the maneuvering ones, about another 5%, so a little less than a third of the ship going to be taken up by those. That seems to be a decent amount to me. You could, again, debate doing a little more, a little less, whatever. But that will allow us to gradually increase, our turning rate and our speed, etc., as we improve our engine technology. Got energy collectors in, etc. And we also have a couple new toys that I want to take a look at that we've put on this ship. The ion cannon, first of all, is an energy hog. Almost 25 energy used per second. The point of this is that it can disable the enemy, and it can do that regardless of whether or not they have armor shields up. Now, it's a brief effect. It doesn't last that long, but it could still be good as a support or a defensive weapon. And we need to have a weapon of some kind on this ship anyway to make it a military design. So why not have an ion cannon? And then there is the tractor beam. This can be used defensively. It can be used aggressively. You can see you can pull enemies towards you or push them away. The stats here are kind of weird to me, though. If you look at the power loss, 5 per 100 distance, so total of 10, means it pretty much is not going to operate beyond 200 distance, but yet it says the range is 320. That's weird. But there's a bit of an undocumented aspect to these in terms of how do you determine if they're going to pull or push the enemy. And the way that you can do that is by these orders here. If we say that we're going to have these both at standoff, it's always going to try to push the enemy away. But if we were to put it, for example, the point blank or the all weapons orders, then we will pull them in towards us and be able to fire more at them and then move on to the next target once they are destroyed. So in this particular case, obviously we just want to keep enemies away from our command ship and our admiral. And of course we've got the fleet orders reflecting that as well, because we don't want to be losing ships or bases per our victory condition. Then our primary combat frigate is going to be the patrol frigate, and has more standardized amounts of defenses. And then we've got the weapons down here. Now notice the orders here, I want it to pull in with its tractor beam weaker opponents, but keep the more powerful ones further away and just pelt them from distance with the concussion missiles, try to wear them down with numbers, is the idea there. Now I am going with the railgun at this stage instead of the Maxos blaster. So why am I doing that? Well, my purpose here is that energy actually matters now, because we have enough space on the ships when you combine the larger space available and the more efficient hyperdrives that we have, so that the energy consumption is actually going to be relevant. The railguns will use up 6 energy per second, and the Maxos blasters will use up between 9 and 10 energy per second, and that's enough of a difference where I think the railguns are probably now the best alternative for us. And then the final design I'm going to use is the Marine frigate. And the purpose of these is to capture the enemy, which is going to be useful to us in various situations. So the weapons here are assault pods, which only consume energy when they're launched. And then the Maxos blasters, there won't be as much energy used by these. What we're also going to end up with is a scenario where we need to make sure we're knocking down the shields. Railguns don't do that because they're going to partially bypass the shields. So I want these Maxos blasters to help with that and make sure that we have prepared the way for assault pods to land. And then I've also gotten, a little bit more maneuverability, a little bit more armor on these, just to try and make sure that they survive their journey into their target. So then it becomes a question of getting these operational. Let's retrofit our existing designs. And we're going to want to make one a command ship. And we'll take, actually let's take a couple of these. Make them into Marine frigates. And 3 patrol frigates. And we probably should also redo some of the names here, because they still have the old frigate prototype names. And we could do, a Thanchi command ship, for example. And this gets a little bit time-consuming to get all of them renamed. But it also is useful to you to really say, okay, now I have an updated version of what all of this actually means. Now we need to consider how much of the economy are we going to pour into expanding our military. Looking at the balance sheet, haven't seen this in a while. Private economy, you can see quite a lot of savings there. They're only using about half of their income. Everything is fine on that front. We've got half of our 35K that we're spending every year going into pirate protection. And there's going to be a little bit of a feedback loop here. The larger our military gets, the more of the pirate protection agreements we can cancel, freeing up more money so that we can build our military and cancel more of them, etc. In terms of the build-up here, I'm going to add 5 of the patrol frigates, and 2 of the Marine. And that's going to do a little bit more than double our current force. And then let's reset what we're going to have in our main fleet here, because ignoring the command ship, I basically want to have the fleet be half patrol frigates and half marine frigates. So I'm going to add a 4th patrol frigate, and then the 2 marine frigates we're building. So it gives us 8 ships plus the command ship. And then these other 4 patrol frigates, what I want to do with these is just set them to be automated. So they can guard whatever and basically work on their own. I don't have to multitask and babysit them. And they can provide security while we have our fleet off doing whatever it is that we need them to do. And then I also need to make sure that I've set the lead ship here on the fleet. See, it's set to Patrol Frigate C, and that's where the Admiral is going to be. And we don't want it to be there, we want the Admiral to be on the command ship. So if we select that, there'll be a star here if it is actually set to the lead ship. So we'll come down here. And now, if we reselect our fleet, we are set to the command ship, and we have that star in place. Double check our characters here. You can see Laban Saksul is now on the command ship, and we also have the fleet admiral there. So everything is set how we're going to want it. Time to get everything built. And okay, we've completed our mission here. Let us continue the explorations. And now I've got everything up and building, and you can see, 60 components. Just going to take some time to get all of that in place. Another exploration ship completed its mission. This part of the game really becomes a grind. We don't have to investigate anything in most of these systems, but there's always the chance. So just have to wait till the next one's completed and then move on if we want to make sure that we're keeping everything going as it should. Well, Zentavia Fluid. This is, of course, one of the super luxury resources we've talked about. Get that additional 30% development bonus to any planet that has it. Can heal nearly any wound or disease, repair damaged limbs or organs, effectively a fountain of youth. Buthuo 2 and the Buthuo system. Let's take a look at what's going on there. Okay, we've got some friends nearby. Sinister Salvage. We do not have on Savage Council. Okay, a couple different pirates. We don't have agreements with either one of those. And here we have 92% Zentavia Fluid, 99% Aculine. That's a fantastic place to mine. And the super luxuries, to my knowledge, they only spawn once per galaxy. It's possible more than that if you have larger galaxies. Might be a thing, I don't know. Grabbing one of these this early would be absolutely fabulous for us. Now, we have some distance here to cover. They are definitely, it looks like maybe a sector a little bit more away from us. There's some pirates in the middle. So we would not be able to exploit this yet. But it's definitely going to be a goal to get out there and grab that as soon as we can. Of course, while we are waiting, the pirates are just going to make a killing off of selling that. And so that's simply going to be something that enriches them, which we don't want either. So another exploration to set up. Let's see. We'll head off this way, I guess. And a new colony discovered, independent population of Ikuros at Ikuro 1 in the Ikuro system. And that almost sounds like it would be the original homeworld of the Ikuros species, but as we saw in the opening cinematic, that was actually destroyed in the Ancient Galaxy time frame. We are over here, and these are what? The Lone Pirates, one of the stronger pirate factions. They've rated this facility. There's a bit of necro stone here, but 30.4K size and 96% quality. This is actually quite a bit better. We definitely get over 20 billion here if we're able to colonize it. 400 million and change there currently. So we're still working on our colonization research, but this is I mean, I can't imagine that we were going to find a better opening target than this. This is almost perfect. How far away are we? Okay, it's a different direction, but about the same distance as Boothwall. So we have two very strong early candidates for strategic value that we're going to want to exploit. How are we doing? Still got a ways to go on these, but it's gradually progressing. Some retrofitting coming in. And some more. Okay. Being attacked by a space slug. Let's see where that's happening. Well, you're going to escape from this, and then we'll probably want to come back to Umbar. Okay. Remember that. We'll probably want to come back to that later, because apparently there are some hostiles in that area. Now, we are approaching this over here. This is a black hole, the Devil's Lair, appropriately named. And I want to build a resort base here, but I really had to do some... Well, it's an undocumented way that you need to do this, and it's kind of tricky. So I set this to build a resort base so it would have all the proper materials on board. And then once it started on its way, I gave it a different move order to just come in at the edge here. And the reason that I did that is that if you go into this area, everything inside the circle, inside the event horizon of the black hole, you'll get sucked in and you'll be destroyed. So that's bad. And to build in these areas, think of like a square hitbox, if you will, or a square boundary that's at the edges of the circle here. So you can build in these diagonal corners where you're basically within range, if you will, of the black hole, but you are not within the actual circular event horizon. So if we, for example, come out this way and you lose the... See at the bottom there it says Devil's Lair Black Hole. But if you come out diagonally, then you've still got that display a little bit further out. So we want to build just outside of this, like somewhere right in this area. So if I just select this here, build at the Devil's Lair, a resort, and we could do this in 4 locations, but I'm just going to build the one resort base here. But unfortunately, there's never been a really good automated way to do this. You just kind of have to be pretty finicky with it. Getting close on some of our ships. And okay, a couple more places. So Pristine Partisan, you can move on. And you have escaped, so you'll come back there another time. Where do we go from here, I wonder? I'll just keep on going out this way, I guess. Okay, new empire, the Iron Sun Confederacy. Let's see if we have to care about them. Nope. 1 ship. Thankfully, they are as wimpy as can be. And we can carry on about our business without caring what they think. And Slippery Prize has been retrofitted, so now we can send them off. And I want to head over this way, trying to give each exploration ship sort of their own vector. We've explored these 3, but not Bakura. Bakura is where one of the initial derelicts that we salvaged gave us this as a location of interest. So we're going to head off that direction. Another colony of Akuros in Buthuo, where the Zentabia fluid was. Hello, we have some hostilities transpiring here. By the way, these are what tractor beams look like. Okay, Venomous Confederacy and the Lone Pirates going to battle here, and we've got some freighters and everything else going on. Buthuo is, okay, it's not as good as our homeworld, or definitely not as good as the other planet that we saw, but still would be nice, and, you know, friendly population of our own race. Nice starter on a potential colony there. So now this has become an even more attractive system. Obviously, if we had a colony, we would be able to more efficiently harvest the Zentabia fluid. Okay, some of our frigates now coming out. A couple more to be finished. The marine frigates take a bit longer. Oh, Dire Impulse, you are finished again. Done in Linos, nothing particularly important there apparently. Move right on along. And of course, I don't bother checking all of the planets and whatnot. I can just use the expansion planner for that. But we have finished our frigates. Okay, so now we want to consider where we are at in terms of getting rid of some of those pirate protection agreements. So if we were just to select all of our ships, you can see we've got 388 firepower. And as a general rule of thumb, a metric that I'm going to use, if the pirates are at least twice that strong, then we're going to maintain our agreements. But if they are less than twice, then we're going to go ahead and disrupt them and cancel them. And it's worth considering they're not going to hit us with all of their ships at once. The pirates have many different goals. But if they're strong enough, then even a moderate, fairly small part of their force could still cause us some serious trouble. So, okay, start with the Savage Council. No agreement with them. Black Market Cartel. I think this is the most expensive one that I currently have. And you can see they only have 5 ships. They appear to be fairly strong, each one. But we are close enough to that firepower that we are going to stop spending that much cash. And, you know, per year, this is going to be in the vicinity of 4,000. So this is going to be a very nice bonus to us. When you cancel it, they give you this pro forma message basically saying, oh, we didn't want the treaty anyway. We just didn't think of canceling it ourselves yet. Who cares? But then they are going to be mad at us, and they are going to attack us. Venomous Confederacy. See, they're too strong. We don't want to pick a fight with them yet. Savage Sun Network. Okay. They're fairly weak. We can cancel that one. So there's going to be some that we want to get rid of and some we want to hang on to. Murderous Fang Buccaneers. Should be able to handle that as well. Lone Pirates. Nope. 50 ships, over 2,000 firepower. We're leaving that in place. Sinister Salvage are thankfully a ways away because they're strong as well. Sinister League. And then the Dark Minerals, the first pirate faction that we encountered. They can, not nearly as much money, but they can go away also. So now we are inevitably going to have some conflict that's going to occur. And I don't even know for sure how this is going to play out. But what I'm going to do is take my fleet, and I now want to begin just expunging the pirates from nearby. And we're just going to start with the Dark Sun Network stations that are right by us. And we don't have any silicon. We've mentioned that before. Well, there is silicon here, and we're now going to snag it. We're going to capture this base. Now, the nice thing about how the capture mechanic works is just control right-click. I could have just right-clicked there to attack, but if I go for the capture, what we're going to see them do here is they will knock down the shields, and then they'll stop firing and let the assault pods do their work. Oh, hold on. There appears to be an enemy of some kind in here, so let's stop that. Yeah. Exploration ship of the cartel. Okay, let's see if we can capture that instead. We might end up blowing it up because we have so many ships around here, but let's see. We got it. Outstanding. Okay, that's a nice little extra prize. It just happened to be right next to us here. So we select our military. Now let's see if we can... I just want to find the ship itself. You know what? I'll just clear out this area. It can be sometimes fun to select everything. Let's keep going over here. Go ahead and capture that. And then we'll see what we have once we've freed up the zone a little bit. There it is. Resolute prize. Okay, let's see what's on this. We have a couple damage components, the hyperdrive, etc. Command center, armor, all of that is things that we have. But we don't have the proton thruster. We've disabled a couple of those. And, okay, all that's pretty similar. We don't have the fission reactors. So they have some technology that we don't, which is the point. Which means we can still use this ship as we have before to retire and get a technology bonus out of it. And then we're going to see a little bit better picture of how they're going to handle the shields here in this particular scenario. They're charging in, knocking the shield down. We're losing some shields on our ships, but not too bad. And now the firing slows down. You can see our attackers versus defenders. We've got the borders. And boom, now that belongs to us. So this way we don't have to rebuild the station ourselves. We don't have to invest in that. We can just capture it. Now if we look at our ships here, we've now used up all of our boarding pods though. And they regenerate after a little while. But for the moment, we're not going to be able to capture anything else. We're just going to have to wait for that to happen. Okay, so we've got some new items that have happened here. A couple of exploration ships we need to give missions to, etc. But going forward from here, I'm going to want to do basically the same thing. Every time we run into an enemy ship, if we can, we will capture this one. And we will use that as well. We're going to want to capture this station. This is a fuel area. We don't need more fuel, but it's in our home station. Home system rather. It's not going to be a long journey to get to it, so I want to grab that. And then I'm just going to gradually move out from there. It's interesting that somebody knocked out the hostile spaceport over here, so we should be able to move into the Reshi system. Looks like we got the dark minerals have perhaps built up a force in there. We'll see what's going on here. Move out to grab the luxury resources in Ula Brea, and just I want to gradually push out and sort of form a protective shell around our territory, taking out the weaker pirates as we go. And so now we probably have enough money. We'll be building up some more frigates and all of that. When Distant Worlds returns, we'll be looking into the colonization effort because we shouldn't take too much longer, a little over another year, and we'll be able to actually build colonization ships, perhaps head out into Ikuro, perhaps eventually try to push out into Buthawo, and in general, be able to actually take over more planets rather than just building mining stations and killing pirates. So that's just sort of the next phase in our expansion and beginning the land grab. So I hope you'll return for that. Thanks for watching, everyone.